Hello and welcome! This character profile video is for the class Grandmaster. And what you'll see is all of his skills, the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommend, his skill combos, enhancements, player card, and a gameplay video. So, without further ado, I give you the class Grandmaster. Here we go. And welcome to the skill slide. If you are new to my character profile videos, allow me to introduce the interface. On the left hand side is all of his skills. On the far right hand side is all the specials that go with his skills. And then the column next to skill is CD or cooldown. Then charges, which is how many times you can use the skill. And then hits is how many times that skill will hit a creature or opponent in the game. And the column damage-PVE is the highest percentage damage that skill will do against another creature in the world. And damage-PVP is the highest percentage damage that skill will do against another player's character. And of course you have the passive at the bottom. So, first things to tell you about this slide is that the things in red in the special section, like rear super armor or just super armor or forward guard, what this means in the bottom left corner is it's just not applied in arena. Everywhere else in the game it will work, but when you go to arena it won't be there for you. So just be aware. On the left hand side, you'll notice that shoulder thrust and perseverance, your passive, is colored orange, and that is because that skill, shoulder thrust, is connected to your passive. I will go into all that on the PvP slide. But for now, take a moment to look at everything, and when you're ready, we'll move on to the top 8 PvE skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PvE slide. What I've done is I've taken all the skills and I've organized them according to the column of damage-PVE, with the highest percentage at the top all the way down to the lowest at the bottom. And Gale Force is your highest damaging skill. So if you're wondering why there's a block of green there, that's because we can only take 8 skills into the world at a time. So according to highest percentage, these are the 8 that I recommend. You don't have to stick with it, it's just a suggestion, because they're the ones that are going to hit the hardest. But I do encourage you to try out Spiral Canyon and Disrespect. Especially Disrespect, that's your grab. And if you're trying to get in a good PvP with someone, you're gonna use your grab, so be aware of that. But for PvE purposes and fighting creatures in the world, well, that just might be hilarious if you grab them. Maybe it's not so much needed. So take a moment to look at everything here, and when you're ready, we will move on to the top 8 PvP skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PvP slide. What I've done is I've taken all the skills and I've organized them according to the column of damage-PVP, with the highest percentage at the top all the way down to the lowest at the bottom. And Gale Force continues to be your highest damaging skill. We have a lot to cover on this slide, so let's just go ahead and knock out all the ones that I can. You already know about the block of green, which is the top 8 skills. You know about the red super armor and forward guard and what that means for arena, but people who do PvP want to know, what skills can I use that have super armor that I don't have to worry about whether it works in arena or not? And the 2 that you have is Knee Hammer, which is towards the middle, and also Disrespect, your grab. So if it were me, I probably would get in Knee Hammer Grab might be a little tough, but if you get it, then your super armor is going to activate, and that's just a really nice thing to have. So probably knee hammer would be a lot easier to do. And from there, what we're going to do is go over the passive. So it's pretty easy for Grandmaster. It's really, here it is. Your passive is called Perseverance, and to activate it, the passive, all you need to do is either someone immobilizes you, and we will go into the details of what that means to be immobilized, excuse me, or you use the skill Shoulder Thrust. And the minute you use it, you'll see it activate. I actually have a video on what all of this looks like, which will be coming up next. But what I want to do is read what happens when your passive is active. So I'll go ahead and get into that. If you're immobilized, PvP damage taken will be minus 30% for 2 seconds. And if you're using your Shoulder Thrust skill, then the next skill you use, the damage will be 40% greater. And if it's a damage against monsters, you get 10% more on top of that for 10 seconds. But this is not applied to your flow skills in the enhancements section. We will get to what the enhancements are and what that means, except for an enhancement called Tempest Fangs. So I'll be on the lookout for that so I can point that out when we get there. But for now, excuse me, take a moment to look at all this, and what we're going to do is move into a video where I show you what his passive looks like. So let me cue that up. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. I have the Grandmaster with his top hat on for this passive gameplay. So we're going to mess with these two guys in the very back next to Lofty Bed Mountain. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And when you do a shoulder thrust, this is what your passive looks like. This is when you know it's ready to go and it's active. Okay, it's yellow, so we're just going to attack this person with Gale Force, your highest damaging skill, and you saw it did 42,000 damage. So, very impressive. Let's do it regularly, and it's at 31,000. So we're just going to do a couple combinations of regular and using the shoulder thrust. So just to get a good bar of, okay, regular damage is around 31,000. And we keep critting this guy so we don't see a damage number. So we'll activate it, go back. Nice, almost 50,000. Very, very nice damage. And that's what makes Grandmaster very deadly, is all he has to do is just shoulder thrust and go hit him with your highest damaging skill or any combination of skills that you want, but the first one is gonna hurt the hardest. So with that, let's go ahead and head back to our PvP slide. Here we go. And welcome back. So now that you know how the passive works for Grandmaster, take a moment to look at everything that's on this slide, and when you're ready, we'll move on to the next one, which is his skill combos. Here we go. And welcome to the skill combo slide. So before I explain how this all works, allow me to tell you where you can find it. If you're in the game and you bring up the menu screen and you look over to the far right hand side where it says skills, and you tap on that, and now you're on the skills screen. And if you look towards the middle and down, you'll see a magnifying glass with a circle around it, and it says skill combos to the right of it. Tap on that and a small window will appear saying list or showing list of skill combos. And what I've done is, instead of scrolling up and down to view all of it, I put it all on one slide for you to visually see. Now, you can print this out, but I highly recommend you print it out as black and white, because this could be a little heavy on the ink, as it's a lot of blues and a lot of grays, and well, it's your call. But I do black and white. Or if you have another monitor, you can simply just move this over to another monitor, and you can practice if you're playing on an emulator or simply your phone. You can have it up, play on your phone, and look at the combos at the same time. So, now that you know where it's at, allow me to tell you how this works. On the left hand side is, in blue, the skills that Pearl Abyss recommends that you start with, and then it chains into the skills that are in gray. Those are your options. So if we took the one at the top left corner and you started with knee hammer, you could chain that into the skill shoulder thrust, and that is a combo, a 2-hit combo. Now, if you do shoulder thrust, then you have an option of 4 things to do to chain into: cheap shot, full force, gale force, or hell sweep. And this is how it works. As far as giving you a really awesome combo to do, they really set this up so it's quite open. Allow me to explain. If you take the top left corner and you do knee hammer to shoulder thrust, and then shoulder thrust to cheap shot, and then look on the right side, cheap shot to, say, full force, and then full force to shoulder thrust, it can start all over again, or you can end it with gale force. This is an example of a very long combo you could do, but it's all up to you. So take a moment to look at all this, and when you're ready, we'll move on to the next slide, which is the enhancement slide. Here we go. And welcome to the enhancement slide. There is a lot to talk about on this slide, so let me go ahead and start with the basics. If you are not familiar with the enhancement slide, allow me to introduce the interface. On the left hand side is all of his skills. On the far right hand side is all the branch damage connected to those skills. And then there's 4 columns in the center. The first, second, and fourth column from left to right are things that I try to have be bonuses for your Grandmaster, things that happen for him. The third column, I try to make things that happen to the creature or the player's opponent that you are facing off and fighting. So things that happen to them. So now that you understand the basic interface, let's get into this. Looking at all of this, you may ask yourself, what the heck are enhancements? So if you remember how to get to the skills screen, so during gameplay, bring up the menu. On the right hand side will be the word skills. Tap on that. Now you're on the skills screen. And if you choose a skill, say full force, tap on that. And now to the left of it, you'll see the icon for full force, and you'll see 2 circles around it. Those are enhancements. And what happens is you need to pay silver, or sometimes not, and you tap on it and pay the silver and unlock it. So what this means is when you unlock, say, plus 20 attack for 10 seconds on hit, now every time you use full force, the skill, you also get a plus 20 AP damage for 10 seconds on the hit. When you hit a creature or opponent, you get a 20 plus 20 AP boost. So that is an enhancement to the skill. And the other one is the targets that you're fighting changes from 1 to 2 creatures or people. So ultimately you want to unlock everything here. And that'll just give you so many more options and make your Grandmaster so much more powerful. To give you an example, if you look down to Hell Sweep in the middle and go all the way over to the far right, you'll see heal 160 HP per hit. Wow, per hit. That's great. So the reason word heal is colored differently is because if you unlock this, pay the silver to unlock it, and you go into, say, Path of Glory, it will not work. But everywhere else in the game, it will work. And this is very, very critical, because if it's 160 HP per hit, and you unlock this and you're in a PvP match, and every hit you do is healing you and damaging them, that's gotta be of interest to you. So that might be one of those things you want to unlock as soon as you can. Now, how do you do that? Before I get to the how, there's one more thing you should be aware of is, let's go back to full force and the plus 20 attack for 10 seconds on hit. Say there's a red number below that circle, say it's a 2. What that means is you need to learn skill books for full force, the skill, to get it up to level 2. Then you will be able to pay silver to unlock that enhancement. So it's a requirement. Now, where do you get these skill books? When you farm in the world of Elion or Hadum, just creatures in the world, these books will drop, and it's random, what books you get, but ultimately you want to learn every book that you get and pay the silver to learn it so that you will meet the requirements to unlock all of these enhancements. And when you're in Hadum, they'll be in treasure chests, and they'll be of a higher quality book for you to learn. So this is how this works. And ultimately, like I said, you want all of your enhancements to be unlocked. And there is some things that are special. Like, for example, let's look at Energy Vacuum. And the second column from left to right, you'll see it's a SA instead of forward guard. That is an option for you. If you like super armor, you can change it so that your forward guard goes away and it's replaced by super armor. So now you can use Energy Vacuum for a super armor that, unfortunately, it's red, so it won't work in arena, but everywhere else you'll have that super armor, another one to use. So these are things to consider when you're unlocking enhancements. And it may have a toggle switch to turn it on and off. You will have to just play around with it and see what it can do for you. So take a moment to look at all this, and when you're ready, we're going to move on to the next slide, which is the player card. Here we go. And welcome to the player card. It's like a baseball card. It is all the slides that you previously saw, all combined into one slide. And there is something on here that's new. So let me go ahead and introduce all the sections of it to you. At the very top is the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommend. And to the right of that is something new. It's called Immobilization. This is now where we introduce what Immobilization is. Anytime a skill knocks you down, stuns you, knocks you up in the air, it immobilizes your character, where they have to spend animation to get up and be ready for the next attack, or just be ready. And during that time, your opponent could get in another hit, maybe two, on you while you're trying to recover. So what this means is these skills will show what immobilizations you have in green, and the ones in red, you don't have anything. So it looks like Grandmaster has two skills that has two immobilizations, Full Force and Rising Uppercut. And if you're still asking yourself, well, what the heck is an immobilization? Let's look at Full Force. Just look down at where the skills are and Full Force, and go over to the right where its specials column is. It will daze on hit and knock down on the last hit. So you're immobilizing the creature or player's opponent by dazing them when you're hitting them, and on the last hit of this 6-hit combo, you're knocking them down. So they need to spend time to get up. Now, it's not always that way, because we're going to introduce super armor. It's at the bottom, and what that means to immobilizations. But for now, this is how that section works, and now you know what the skills section is. We just covered the enhancements. Below that is a legend of what's not applied in Path of Glory and what's not applied in Arena. And then below that are the definitions, if you were wondering, for forward guard and super armor. Excuse me, sorry. Forward guard means that incoming damage will either be 0 or heavily reduced. So you have a skill with forward guard. It is a shoulder thrust, and we've been talking about that the whole video. What this means is if someone's in front of you, imagine a shield in front of you for your Grandmaster, a very, very heavy shield, and your opponent is trying to damage you from straight on to you. Maybe a little to the left or a little to the right, but straight on at you. What will happen is damage they do will either be 0 or heavily reduced. If they get behind you, then your forward guard no longer works, because it works in the front. It's forward. If they're in the behind you, then all bets are off and they can damage you normally. So this is how forward guard is applied and works when using that skill. Now, super armor. This means that incoming damage will be reduced, and the effects that immobilize you, like stun, knockdown, freeze, etc., will not happen for a duration of time. So this is where it connects with immobilization. If you and I are sparring and I do a skill that has super armor, and so now my super armor is active, and you are just throwing everything you have at me, full force, rising uppercut, everything that has an immobilization, you're increasing your percentage chance you'll get one of those in on me when my super armor runs out. And I really don't know when that will be, because I will continue to use a skill that refreshes my super armor. So according to me, it's always being active, but that one chance that it's not active and you hit me with a skill that has an immobilization like rising uppercut or full force, and you get it in, then you're gonna see me hit the ground. I will be immobilized, and you can get in that extra attack, or maybe that extra 2 attacks, and that really determines a fight if you get that damage in. So this is why super armor is so important to people who do PvP. And now that you know how it works, that is your player card. People who know about the player card, usually when they see a character that just came out or they're interested in it, they'll get into my video and go right to the player card, print it out, again, maybe black and white would be best, and they'll review it if they're, at a loss for time, and check it out when they get home or when they can. So take a moment to look at everything, and when you're ready, the music is going to change. We're going to go into a gameplay video where we show you what the Grandmaster can do. Here we go. And welcome to the gameplay video. Before we get started, let us show you where we're at. We're over here in Balanos, and we are at Kron Castle entrance. And we're here because, well, we love it here. Their CP is that much, and our CP is this much at the bottom left corner. I think you'll be fine. So the way that this works is that we use this auto path or shortcut path right here. We'll have him fight for about 2, maybe 3 minutes, at which time we'll go to town, I'll give my outro and say thanks. So, without further ado, I am pleased to present to you Grandmaster. Here we go. And we're just about ready to head back to town. There we go. While the loading screen is coming up, allow me to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like these videos, please subscribe, like, let people know I am always making more videos, and there are more videos left to do. So what we do here is we put our character in a pose. There we go. And have him give a wave. See what his wave is like. And maybe see what it looks like when he claps. Oh, let's try it again. There we go. So once again, thank you very much, and you have yourself a great day. Take care. Bye now.